You know, if you really stop and think about it, modern commerce is basically a miracle. I mean, you can tap a piece of plastic in Tokyo, and literally seconds later, the funds are deducted from your bank account in Toronto. It's wild. But today, we're pulling back the curtain on the exact architecture that actually makes all of that possible. We are diving into SWIFT, the hidden system that controls the global economy.
Welcome to a brand new explainer right here on the Cognition channel. If you're the kind of person who loves understanding how the world actually works beneath the surface, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Okay, so let's start with a surprisingly complex question. How does your money actually cross borders? Because when you send funds internationally, there aren't airplanes filled with briefcases of cash flying across the ocean, right? Instead, there's this invisible, highly secure digital infrastructure that dictates the flow of almost every single cross-border transaction on Earth.
So here is exactly how we're going to break this down today. First, we'll map out this hidden financial web. Second, we'll answer the core question: what actually is SWIFT? Third, we'll trace step by step exactly how the system works. Fourth, we're looking at how this network acts as a control mechanism for global wealth. And finally, we'll explore the future of global finance.
All right, let's jump straight into part one, the hidden financial web.
Think of the global economy kind of like a massive, sprawling city. For that city to function, it needs a pristine, highly reliable plumbing system that runs entirely out of sight. Well, in the financial world, this invisible plumbing connects virtually every single commercial bank, investment firm, and central bank on the planet. And without it, international trade would just instantly grind to a halt, companies couldn't pay foreign suppliers, governments couldn't settle debts, and you definitely wouldn't be able to buy anything from overseas. So the next time you tap your phone to pay for an imported coffee or local business orders parts from Germany, they are relying on this exact hidden infrastructure. It's a web that processes trillions, yes, trillions with a T, operating with absolutely zero tolerance for failure. It is, quite literally, the central nervous system of global capital.
Which brings us perfectly to part two. What exactly is SWIFT?
Take a close look at the actual name itself. SWIFT stands for the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. Now, notice that the word bank is in there as an adjective, sure, but the absolute most important word in that whole string is telecommunication. Because there's this massive misconception out there that SWIFT is some giant global bank holding enormous subterranean vaults of cash. It's totally not. It doesn't hold funds and it doesn't manage accounts. It is, fundamentally, a highly secure messaging system, a telecommunication network that banks use to securely talk to one another. You can kind of think of it like a highly exclusive, heavily guarded WhatsApp group that only banks are allowed to join, and where the only messages being sent are incredibly complex, encrypted financial instructions.
To truly wrap your head around its dominance, just look at these foundational facts. SWIFT was actually founded back in 1973, and before that, banks relied on a system called telex. Just picture clerks manually typing out complex financial instructions on a telegraph-like machine, desperately hoping they didn't mistype a single digit in an account number and accidentally send $1 million to the wrong continent. I mean, it was a chaotic, incredibly slow nightmare that was just so prone to human error. But then SWIFT came in and standardized the whole thing into one universal language. Fast forward to today, it's headquartered in Belgium, and this cooperative connects over 11,000 financial institutions. It operates globally in over 200 countries and territories. It's practically ubiquitous. If a commercial bank wants to play on the global stage, it absolutely has to be plugged into this single network.
So, how does this actually function in practice? Let's look at part 3, how the system works. Let's actually walk through a standard international transaction using this really simple 5-step flow. Let's say you're in New York and you need to pay a supplier over in London. Step 1. You, the sender, initiate the payment at your local bank. Step 2. Your bank doesn't start packing up dollar bills in a box. Instead, it generates a standardized, highly encrypted SWIFT message containing the specific details of that transaction. Step 3. The network routes this secure message across the Atlantic, and it does this in mere fractions of a second. No human eyes ever see it. It's entirely automated and fortified by literally military-grade encryption. Then, step 4. The receiving bank in London gets the message, authenticates it, and knows exactly what to do with the instructions. And finally, step 5. The actual funds are adjusted and cleared locally on the bank's own internal ledgers.
Now, the absolutely crucial distinction to remember here is this. The SWIFT network is responsible for the secure messaging. It's basically the instruction manual. Clearinghouses and the bank's internal ledgers, those are responsible for the actual money movement. Think of SWIFT as the postal service delivering a highly secure, sealed envelope with a set of instructions. The banks and clearinghouses are the people opening that envelope and actually moving the physical boxes around in the warehouse. SWIFT moves the data. The local financial systems move the value.
And because it moves the data for the entire world, we arrive at part 4, controlling global wealth.
Just look at this staggering number, over 40 million. That is the average number of secure financial messages sent across the SWIFT network every single day. 40 million times a day, banks are communicating about trillions of dollars in value. To put that into perspective, 40 million messages a day is roughly 460 highly sensitive financial instructions being fired across the globe every single second of every single day. Crazy, right? When you process that kind of volume, your infrastructure essentially becomes the heartbeat of global wealth. If that heartbeat skips even a single beat, the global economy feels it immediately.
Now, if we look at a breakdown of the currencies being used in these tens of millions of daily messages, we see a distinct hierarchy that beautifully illustrates the balance of power within the network. The US dollar, the euro, the British pound, and the Japanese yen dominate the vast majority of the traffic. The US dollar alone frequently accounts for over 40% of all international payments sent over SWIFT. And this isn't just by accident. Commodities, like global oil, are priced in dollars, which creates this natural gravity, pulling the majority of SWIFT traffic right toward the US currency. So this data neutrally reflects the broader dynamics of the global economy. The currencies that dominate global trade just inherently dominate the messaging network.
And because practically every major institution relies on this one standardized network, SWIFT has effectively become the central choke point of international trade. If a financial institution, or even an entire country for that matter, is disconnected from SWIFT, the results are immediate and they are severe. They can no longer send or receive those secure messages. And without the messages, the clearinghouses simply don't know what to do. We've actually seen this play out in modern geopolitics. When international bodies agree to sanction a nation, disconnecting their banks from SWIFT is often considered the nuclear option of finance. I mean, literally overnight, a country's ability to import goods, export products, or stabilize its currency is severely crippled because they are abruptly banished from the digital financial city. Disconnection effectively and instantly isolates an institution from the global economy.
Which brings us to a really fascinating crossroads. Let's move to part 5, the future of global finance.
Right now, the current standard is SWIFT. It's a centralized, legacy network focused on standardized messaging for traditional fiat currencies. But there are emerging alternatives that are fundamentally challenging this model. On one side, we have decentralized blockchain technology. With blockchain, trust is mathematically built right into the network itself. That means two banks could settle a transaction instantly without needing SWIFT to act as the middleman validating the message. It moves the data and the value simultaneously, which could eliminate the need for a separate messaging layer altogether. Then, on the other side, we have central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. These could theoretically allow the central banks of two entirely different countries to plug directly into each other's ledgers and settle trades digitally, potentially bypassing the need for a central intermediary network completely. So for the very first time in 50 years, the world's financial plumbing is facing a major redesign.
So, after exploring the sheer scale and power of this hidden web, it leaves us with a massive question to ponder. Is a centralized, hidden system the best way to run the global economy? Well, thank you so much for watching this explainer on the Cognition channel. I really hope this deep dive helped demystify the invisible architecture of your money. But now I want to hear your thoughts on this. Drop your answer to this question down in the comments below. Do we stick with the highly reliable, tested legacy system, or is it time for a decentralized future? Let's get a vibrant discussion going down there. Thanks again for learning with us today, and I'll catch you in the next one.